Can I just request Sudhakar to give your opening remarks?
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Bivash Pandav.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. I am very happy that you are able to find time amongst your busy schedule to come and interact with our members. Bombay Naturalistic Society and the MNS have had a long association. Actually, I can remember Dr. Salim Ali, who was associated with the MNS from even the first year onwards, because he wrote a letter for our first year souvenir, which was published in somewhere in 1978. So we have had a long association, and of course, more recently we have had a program along with BNHS, remembering Salim Ali, with a lot of people who are remembering Salim Ali. So I would like, and I think it will be in the interest of the whole country probably, if BNHS and MNS could do things together and take this association forward. And we look forward to more and more interactions like this. Thank you again, Dr. Bivash Pandey.
Thank you, Sudhakar. I now request Kumaran to introduce Dr. Bivash Pandav to us.
Thank you, Vijay. My privilege. So I've had the I've met Dr. Bivash a few times over the years, both in person and virtually more recently. And I would like to recall these things and my impressions of Dr. Bivash by way of introduction. The first meeting was when I attended a certain conference, and Dr. Bivash was giving a presentation on his turtle work. As you all know by now, Dr. Bivash Pandav started his wildlife research career, working on the olive-ridley turtles in Orissa, his home state. And as we all know, again, these are the sites where very, very large congregations of the olive-ridley take place annually. And it's like this. The lasting impression I have of what Dr. Bivash said at that meeting is about how he went about this attaching tags on turtles. You see, the male turtles, at least that's my understanding, do not come to the beaches because they do not need to lay eggs. And so they remain in the waters. They do not come to land. So Dr. Bivash was casually saying that to attach tags to the males, he would just take a boat, go out into the waters where these males were congregating, and jump into the water when he sees one, picks it up and brings it aboard on a boat, small boat, attach the tag and put it back into the water. I was most impressed by this, by what he said. And subsequently, I've heard that the Aribada sites in Orissa are not the easiest places to reach, first of all, leave alone stay and to do research work like this. So obviously, Dr. Bivash did not think much of these great logistic and other difficulties, personal difficulties. Next, I met him when I went to Wildlife Institute, Dehradun, some years later, and he had joined as a scientist. And being a scientist there, he worked on all sorts of animals, large and small, across the country, practically every part of the country, I think. Just to give you an instance, in a typical year, he studied the swamp deer and the smooth-coated otter in Uttarakhand. He was studying the tiger in the Terai and in Simlipal. He was looking at water birds nesting in Tamil Nadu and at birds nesting on the riverine islands in the Chambal Sanctuary in Uttar Pradesh. This is just a small section of his projects that he had in a typical year. So it was very clear to me that Dr. Bivash was a committed field person and that he was leading the kind of life that many of us naturalists dream of living, of being out in the wild all the time and dealing with being in close touch with animals and so on. And I have no doubt that Dr. Pandav is still doing that. He has, as you know now, he has taken over as director of the BNHS very recently. And in the course of meetings, he drops hints saying that he has just returned from a trip to Uttarakhand to radio collar and elephant and so on. Truly enviable career and life that Dr. Pandav is having. More seriously, Dr. Pandav has given an interview, which is available online after taking over as a director, in which I see that his positivity and clear vision are emerging so obviously. And it's also clear that he's very result oriented and very down to earth, approachable person. So the overall image that emerges of Dr. Pandav is of a sort of certain superhuman. And to his sterling qualities, I think we might also add modesty, because I asked him yesterday what, is there anything specific I would like to say in these, but this introduction that I knew I was going to give. And he said, just say a wildlife biologist who has been wandering in the wilderness for the past 3 decades and is a big time foodie. That's Dr. Bivash Pandav for you. So, Dr. Bivash, may I invite you to address us?
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. I mean, first time I'm hearing, I have never heard such a beautiful introduction about myself. And yeah, I mean, for me, life has been a wonderful journey. As a kid, my parents are still practicing doctors. Those days, they were working with the government of Orissa, and summer months especially, we used to have morning schools. And I grew up in very rural settings. I had absolutely no exposure to cities and big cities. In fact, you'll be surprised. Bombay is the first big city I have ever lived in my life. For the last 6 months, I've been living in Bombay. Otherwise, before that, I've never lived in a big city. So, as a kid, maybe I was in class 5 or class 6, used to have summer school, early morning, uh, around 7 to 11 was the school hour, because it used to get very hot after 12 o'clock. So, and my parents, since both were doctors in a small hospital, they were very busy. They used to come home around 1:30, 2 o'clock. So I had this free time between 11 to 2 o'clock. So I used to just come back from school, throw my bag, and go roam around along the river bank. I had this beautiful river, Mahanadi. I grew up along the river for many years of my childhood and youth. I have spent on the bank of that river. So those days in summer, lot of birds used to nest. I'm very curious to go back and see what is happening there now. In fact, one of the BNHS scientists who is working on riverine nesting birds in Chambal. So I have been coaxing her, you please write a proposal on Mahan and put my name in that, so that I get a chance to wander in those areas. So officially, we are in some project. It becomes very difficult for me to go and roam around in various places. I am a director, I can go and supervise, but being an investigator in a project gives me all the more reason to convince my bosses that I have to go and supervise the work. Anyway, so my primary job those days was go and roam around in the riverbed and look for these black-bellied tern eggs, because I remember black-bellied tern only now, because the black was very prominent. So that was one of the first birds that I identified. So, and I had no clue what I was doing, and I was very curious. Sometimes I was breaking the eggs to see whether chicks are there inside, and a lot of, I mean, what you say, involved in a lot of juvenile delinquencies. I was, I think I was in college in the sense in my 12th standard or so. Those days in Orissa, after you pass 10th, you get into a college. So 11th, 12th, what we are doing in school, normally in 1980s, we are doing it in college. So this was, I think, after the death of Dr. Salim Ali, there was an article in Reader's Digest written by J.C. Daniel and then the editor of Reader's Digest. I don't remember his name. Mohan Nilampati, I think. So I read this article about Dr. Salim Ali, and then there I came across this word called ornithology. I honestly speaking, I was not so inspired by Dr. Salim Ali the way I was impressed by this word called ornithology. I was in a very, very small town. It's a subdivisional headquarters in Orissa. So ornithology was like an alien concept or alien word for me. And I tried to impress people saying that I want to be an ornithologist. And no one could figure out what is this ornithologist? What does this mean? So people were thinking that this fellow is going to do something very big that none of us know. And those days only, you pass your college, school or college, pass your 12th and apply for medical or engineering. That's all. And even civil service was not much talked about. The way medical and engineering, career in medicine and engineering were talked about. So when I started talking about ornithology, so my parents didn't pay much attention to it because I was never a good student. I had never cleared any entrance examination in my life. Being son of two doctors, by default also I wanted to become a doctor, but to my I had not cleared any medical entrance exam. Some 8, 10 I must have given. I never cleared it. So then slowly I got to know that ornithology. Then people started also understanding that the science of studying birds is known as ornithology. So I was quite determined to become an ornithologist or pursue a career in birds, which I couldn't do. But I managed to roam around in the wilderness of India for last 3 decades, which I have been doing and which I look forward to do till as long as I'm fit, active, and alive. So I came across a few great souls in my life who actually changed the course of my life. Uh, when I was with my parents, I was in college. I visited Nandankanan Zoo. It was a family holiday in the sense my parents and another doctor couple they had gone, and they had the other doctor couple, they had a relative who was working as a zoo veterinarian. So they went to see the zoo veterinarian, the person who later actually saved my life, my career as a wildlife biologist. So I also them and met him, Dr. Ellen Acharjo. And Dr. Acharya met me and asked, what are you doing? I told, sir, I'm doing my graduation in zoology, but I'm very interested in studying birds. Then he told me, oh, you must go to Wildlife Institute of India. They have a master's program in wildlife science. And you should write Dr. Johnson and Mr. J.C. Daniel in Bombay Natural History Society, and Dr. Johnson works with Wildlife Institute of India. And he writes a lot of articles. So, and you buy a frontline and read his articles. So those days in late 80s, early 90s, Dr. Johnson was writing. He still continues to write in front. So I wrote a letter to Dr. Johnson and a letter to Mr. J.C. Daniel. So, Mr. J.C. Daniel, I wrote, sir, I'm interested to pursue a career in wildlife science. Kindly advise me what to do. So, J.C. Daniel immediately I wrote him in a 15 paisa, what you say, postcard. And prompt came the reply from Mr. Daniel saying that Wildlife Institute of India runs a master's program in wildlife science. So, you write to Wildlife Institute of India and find out the details. So, I already got the address of Wildlife Institute, no email, nothing, no mobile phone. Mobile phone I started using much later. I think even after I joined the service in 99, 2000, I think I got my first mobile phone. So I wrote to Dr. Johnson one letter. Sir, I'm very interested in wildlife. I want to build a career in wildlife, and I want to give my life for wildlife. Okay. So Dr. Johnson went with that letter to Mr. Power. H.S. Power was the director. He showed that I have received such a letter. So Mr. Power told, ask that boy to appear in the entrance examination, and if he clears the written test, take him, select him in the interview. So it so happened, I appeared for the entrance examination, and when I saw the movie Three Idiots, if I remember, if you any of you have seen it, so Indian Statistical Institute in Calcutta, the entrance examination was conducted. Those days, WI was conducting the MSc entrance examination at three places: Calcutta, Bangalore, and Delhi. So I, being from Bhubaneswar, I applied for Calcutta Center. I went. They were declaring the result next day. So I started looking my name from the bottom, whether I feature. They select 10 candidates from each of these centers, call the 30 candidates to Dehradun for an interview, and then from there they were selecting 7 candidates. So I started looking. So when I crossed 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, my name biologist anymore. So, but my name was there in number 3. Okay, so I was very happy. Came back home. My parents were very happy. For the first time, their son has cleared some written test. Till then, I had never cleared any exam, in the sense, any competitive exam. Then I came to Dehradun. Obviously, my letter had done the magic. Though I didn't do great in the interview, I was selected. Dr. Johnson, Mr. Power has instructed, if this boy comes, take him. So later on, Dr. Johnson told me the story, many years after that. So I joined Wildlife Institute as a student, master student in 1991. And then it all went on. And my work on sea turtle was also very interesting. When I completed my master's, there were two things. Either you become a wildlife biologist or you try your luck for Indian Forest Service. So they asked me, what are you going to do? I had no clue what I am going to do. But on the back of my mind, what happened in the master's program in Wildlife Institute of India, we have to carry out a 6-month dissertation. So I was doing that work on water monitor lizard in Bhitarkanika Wildlife Sanctuary. And the DFO there in Bhitarkanika at that point of time, he's no more, unfortunately, Mr. Bitta Nayak. He, one day in the middle of the night, I was living in in an island inside the forest, to walk so, but I had a fabulous field assistant, local person called Dhumal. So Dhumal took me. There was an abandoned beat cut hut there, and there was no door, no window, nothing. So he told, sir, we'll build a small hut on the terrace. So within 3-4 days, our hut was ready. So I called it roofed up, and I started living there. And just below camp place where I was camping, there was a lovely creek full of fish, crab, and prawns. So there was no dearth of food. So we just have to buy rice and have fish curry almost on a daily basis. So the DFO, suddenly in the middle of the night, around 9-10 o'clock, it's quite deep inside the forest. He walks into the hut where I was staying. And he calls me, hey, Pandav. He used to call me Pandav. Hey, Pandav, wake up. Who the hell is he? Around 10 o'clock in the night, because my bedtime was around 6:30 in the evening. Who the hell is calling me and disturbing? Comes out and sees the DFO himself is standing. He told, hey, come, turtles have started nesting. See them. Just hold on, my phone battery is going low. I just charge it. Hello, am I audible? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, clearly.
Okay. I hope I'm not boring you with my stories.
No, not at all.
Okay, so I'll just take we can discuss about BNHS and MNHS things. So then he took me on the boat, a 3.5 hour boat ride. from Bhitarkanika, we went to Gahimata. Gahimata, I saw the turtles. So it was fine. I saw the turtles nesting, mass nesting. I had no clue that I'll build a career on sea turtles. So next day morning, the range officer had seized a boat which was full of hilsa. And there was the dining table in the forest rest house was like, there was a heap of hilsa fry on the table. I was eating them over breakfast. And the research officer there, Dr. C.S. Kerr, he's another person who again influenced me a lot. He told Bivash, let's go and do a survey of sea turtle nesting beaches. Now, turtles are nesting. We should go and do a survey of sea turtle nesting beaches in Orissa along the entire coast to find out where all turtles are nesting. I told, sir, are you mad? I have to go back. I have to work the project. I have to collect my data on monitor lizard. I have only 3 more months to complete my dissertation. I am going back. So next day morning, after eating all those hilsa, I said bye to Dr. Kerr and came back. So I finished my master's dissertation, came back to Dehradun, and there Dr. Bhupati was working, who is unfortunately again no more. So Dr. Bhupati, I was talking to Dr. Bhupati and telling that how about doing a survey of sea turtle nesting beaches? He told, yeah, we can arrange money. BNHS gives a grant of 5,000 rupees. You should write a proposal. And I was wondering what the hell I'm going to do with 5,000 rupees. So, but in any case, in Wildlife Institute, I managed to submit a proposal for 21,000 rupees. The major expenditure was purchase of a bicycle, which was around 1,400 those days. And I was getting a fellowship of 800 rupees. With that, I went and carried out a 6-month survey of sea turtle nesting beaches along the coast of Orissa. During the course of that survey, we came across mass nesting of sea turtles along the southern part of Orissa coast in Rusikulya. Then that gave me an idea how about pursuing a doctoral study on sea turtles. I again wrote a proposal, and again Wildlife Institute funded the proposal with the help of B.C. Chaudhary. At the institute, I carried out my doctoral research on sea turtles. So Mr. Sudhakar was just explaining that I was going and catching male turtles. Actually, all through my career on sea turtles research, I didn't know swimming. Okay, and some 7-8 years I lived in the sea in a small little island. I didn't know swimming, so I was actually not jumping into the water and catching male turtles. I'll tell you the story. One day, I was returning back from Dehradun. I had returned back from Dehradun. I was riding my bike and the Yamaha RX 100 those days. During the low tide, I was approaching Gahirmatha area. So I saw the cyclone had just was over. So there were a lot of dead bodies, human bodies, lying along the coast. I had counted around 14-15 dead bodies lying there, all unaccounted for. So then at one place, I saw something signing, floating on the breakers, very close to the shoreline. It was during the low tide. So I stopped there and I thought maybe another dead body, picked up my binocular and saw this yellow thing that was signing were actually belly or the plastron of a turtle, sea turtle. And it was actually a mating pair that was passively floating in the breakers. So that was the first time I saw a turtle mating pair. Then I came back. I had got some money through MS Swaminathan Research Foundation in Chennai to purchase tags and to hire a boat and go and tag turtles. So I had spread words in the villages that I need to hire a boat. So next morning, one boatman came and asked me, sir, I have a boat. I want you to use it. You give me 5,000 rupees a month towards hiring. So I told, is your boat seaworthy? Can you take me inside the sea? It was a 10 horsepower boat, water pump engine. It had a Kirloskar water pump, which was modified into a boat engine. So he took me inside the sea, and the moment I crossed the river mouth and went inside the sea near Gahirmatha, the sea was full of mating pairs. Okay, so that day I must have seen some hundreds of mating pairs. So I asked my field assistants, can we catch these mating pairs? They told, yes, sir, we can catch them. So they devised a triangular trap, actually, 3 bamboo poles, in the form of a triangle. They tied it, and below that they put a good multi-filament fishing net. And first day, the second day when I entered sea, we tried to catch the mating pairs. So that day we caught only 3 or 4 mating pairs and started tagging both male and female turtles, because that's the only way you can tag male turtles. Male turtles, as Mr. Sudhakar told, they never come to the shore. Only when they are mating with the female, they passively float on the water surface. And so you catch a mating pair. So you catch the male turtle along with the female. So that was in 1996 when I started catching the mating pair. First day I caught only 3 mating pairs with a lot of effort. We were completely new to it. But when I was finishing my work in 99, I was catching around 45, 50 mating pairs a day. So in this process, I tagged roughly around 3,700 or 3,800 mating pairs. Other than around 14, 15,000 nesting females, I tagged around 3,400 males. So when I was catching these mating pairs, the forest department was very unhappy with me. They were telling that you are creating a sin, especially the forester who was living with me in that island. He was extremely unhappy that I was disturbing turtles when they were mating. And he gave me a curse that, sir, you are doing very wrong things, lot of wrong turtles while they are mating. So you'll never have a successful married life. Okay. So I was telling him, hey, I know I am disturbing them, but these turtles, even I'm disturbing them while mating, but I have a lot of recaptures of the same turtles that when I have released them, those males go and catch hold of another female and mate. Then he told, no, sir, then you are doing even greater sin. You are disturbing them again and again. Okay. Your life will be disturbed again and again. Fortunately, I am into 20 years, 21st year of my marriage. So it's so far so good. Everything is very peaceful. Okay. So his curse didn't seem to work, and my science seemed to work the way I justified that I was not disturbing turtles. So I completed my work in 99, my doctoral research on sea turtles, the field research I completed. Before I could finish my thesis, I got an offer. I joined Wildlife Institute of India as a faculty, and then continued to work for next 20 years at the institute. And when I joined Wildlife Institute, other than sea turtles, the person who influenced me heavily in the institute was Dr. John Singh. So Dr. John Singh started taking me to the jungle, the nearby jungle. We have a fabulous forest called Rajaji National Park. Now it's a tiger reserve. Those days, a lot of people were living in Rajaji. So in 2002-3, there was voluntary relocation of those people living inside the park going on. So the park director came and requested Wildlife Institute to take up some monitoring work when people were after post relocation of human settlements from the park. So one afternoon, Dr. Johnson told me, hey, Pandav, what are you doing? I told, sir, I'm at home. He told, come, let's go to the jungle. He used to go every Saturday, Sunday. He used to be in Rajaji. So it took me. So that day we went in a sumo for a 30-kilometer drive. And where we were getting down from the vehicle, we were seeing tiger pug marks. And then he told, you do one thing, you ask Dr. Goel to give you some camera traps. You come and start monitoring. So Dr. Goel gave me only 3 camera traps. And with those 3 camera traps, I started putting them in few places in Rajaji and started photographing wild animals. So then later on, this I started in 2003. Later on, we continued 17 long years of continuous monitoring of tiger and prey population in Rajaji, following relocation of human settlements. So that gave me a fabulous exposure to work in forest, to work on large mammals. I also got an opportunity to work on elephants. Along with my colleagues at Wildlife Institute, radio collared quite a few elephants in central India, in the state of Chhattisgarh, primarily to look at human-elephant conflict issues there, and also radio collared. Just before joining BNHS, I was radio collaring elephants near Haridwar. Again, lot of bulls. They form all-male group there, cross River Ganga and go across Ganga to raid crops every night and come back next day morning. So That was precisely in between. I was on a 4-year assignment with WWF International. I was coordinating the Tiger program in 11 Tiger range countries, including Russia, China, Indonesia, Nepal, Bhutan, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. So that gave me a fabulous exposure to walk in almost all tiger landscapes across the world. And one thing I realized during that assignment is India is light years ahead of all other countries as far as conservation is concerned. Maybe one country, couple of countries that come very close to India is Bhutan, of course, excellent as far as conservation ethos are concerned, and Nepal. Despite abject poverty and decades of civil unrest, the country has achieved some tremendous conservation success in the foothills of Himalayas or in the Tarai region. So I completed 2007 to 11. I was there. I was based out of Kathmandu and was operating in all these countries. Completed the assignment, came back to Wildlife Institute in 2011. And I was there teaching and training. I was primarily training forest officers. So when you train forest officers, my job was to take them to the jungle and make them learn jungle craft, teach them wildlife techniques, population estimation techniques, and all other things. So when you take officers to the jungle or students to the jungles, you can't talk about animals all the time. So you have to keep them busy, keep them engaged. And one of the best way that I figured out to keep them engaged was to talk about plants, talk about trees, to talk about other plants in the forest. And that's where I started picking up things from Dr. Johnson, taking a keen interest on plants. So, and also I realized that unless you understand the vegetation, unless you understand the plant communities in any given area, you won't develop a solid understanding of the system that is operating in that place. You won't develop a good understanding of animals that are inhabiting that forest. And besides, it was a great tool for me. It helped me a great deal in keeping the officers and students engaged during day-long walks inside the forest. So that's how although I am a wildlife, I am a primarily work on animals. I worked on sea turtles, swamp deers, elephants, tigers, colonial nesting birds. But my primary interest lies in plants. Wherever I see a new tree, wherever I see interesting plants, that captures my fascination first. And that's something which makes life very, very enjoyable. Whether you live in a big city, whether you live in a jungle, or whether you live in a small city, everywhere there are plants to look for, to identify them. Even in Bombay also, one of my favorite pastime is looking at the trees that are planted on the pavements of or trees that are growing in these buildings in Bombay. So that's what over the 3 decades I've thoroughly enjoyed my life. And along with roaming in the forest, I've got a fabulous opportunity to eat local foods wherever I go. So that is why when Mr. Vijay contacted me and Mr. Kumaran told me, I told immediately, do you need me to come to Chennai? I am very fond of South Indian food, especially Chettinad food. Okay. So I make trips to Rameswaram to go there and eat Chettinad food. And most of my trips are actually, they revolve around food that are available in that area. So I was asking, so should I come physically? He told, no, we'll have a virtual meeting. But I hope I'll come down to Chennai and we'll meet physically and enjoy good food with all of you. Okay. So that's what about me. And I will talk about BNHS, but before I get into BNHS thing, if anything that you want to ask or any interaction, then I will just briefly tell you about the plan, what is happening in BNHS right now and what are our plans, how to take the organization ahead.
Yeah, if anybody has anything to ask Dr. Bivash, you could just quickly...
Can I ask something?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Dr. Bivash, my name is Geeta Iyer and I stay at Kanyakumari.
Okay.
You've talked about all organisms, plants, large mammals, turtles.
I spent 4 months in Kanyakumari.
Oh, you did? How lovely. But you never talked about invertebrates. You did talk about insects. And those are the organisms I'm very interested in. I do moths and insects. I know that you've read my articles in Frontline. So I was wondering whether at the BNHS, is there any program to set up monitoring insects at places like Kanyakumari? But I'm saying Kanyakumari because it is a place where you have the Western Ghats on one side and you have the coast on the other side, and it is completely interconnected by a system of streams and lakes and ponds and rivers. You have all the ecosystems that you can ask for at Kanyakumari, one place. And I'm very interested in setting up an insect monitoring program. What the BNHS be interested in?
So, madam, I have one more reason to visit Kanyakumari now.
You have. You're most welcome to come to my house. I live.
I'll tell you something. Please don't take it as any racist comment or anything. It is my son who told me this. I was living in Kanyakumari with my wife and my son. Little kid, 3-year-old, and I think it was in the month of August, Independence Day. So they were distributing laddus. So Kanyakumari Wildlife Institute had set up a marine conservation
program. There is
institute,
one.
Which didn't work out finally. So I was there in charge of that center for 4 months.
Nothing happened there, but
no, nothing happened there. So 4 months I was there. So Independence Day when they were distributing laddus, so I asked, who gave you this laddu? So in Hindi he was telling me, Papa, oh, black wale bhaiya ne yellow laddu diya mujhe. So he was referring to the person as the black person who gave me yellow.
It doesn't matter. That as a child, no?
As a child. So I have lovely memories of Kanyakumari. But coming back to your question, insects certainly forms very integral part of our life. Especially, I keep very close eyes on beehives.
Invertebrates also.
Especially the beehives. When you see in the forest, many places actually the bee population is dwindling, is going down, drastically gone down. In Tarai, normally when you go, you know the silk cotton trees, Bombay Siva trees. Maximum number of beehives we get to see in those silk cotton trees. 20 years back, where we were seeing a lot of beehives, now very difficult to see them. In many areas, they have disappeared actually. Maybe many reasons.
I can interrupt you for a minute. You will find that at the Kanyakumari Wildlife Sanctuary and the KMTR, Kalakad Mandandare Tiger Reserve, there are these Kani tribes who are actually very good at these trigonal species, stingless bees. I'm told that because the wild honeybee population is coming down, stingless people are more interested in stingless bee and cultivation of stingless bee. So you might be interested in knowing, and the Kani tribes are very good at it.
In Kodai also, Kodai Hills, there are tribes, they go and climb up those cliffs and collect honeys. Nilgiris.
And Nilgiris, Ooty,
So, what I was telling, BNHS has got some excellent entomologists. There are 2-3 people who are very good young people who are working. And if you plan to set up such a thing in Kanyakumari, I will definitely mobilize our team. Needless to say that BNHS has a wonderful collection of insects.
I've seen your collection. Invertebrates. I've seen.
So the person who is in charge, Mr. Rahul Khote, he is a specialist on.
Yes, I also happen to know Rahul Khote.
Okay, good. He's an entomologist, and there are 2 people, especially Neha Majumdar and Prathamesh Joshi. They are very good young people, extremely good in insects and invertebrates. So, if there is such a program, let us work on it. Let us write up a proposal proper. Do it in a project mode. In the sense, we should have funding for travel and monitoring and all those things.
That's one that, what Sudhakar was saying, MNS and BNHS can work together. You could think under that umbrella.
So let us identify common fields that we can collaborate. That is one agenda of discussing with you today. Let us identify like this. You want to set up this insect monitoring thing in Kanyakumari district. So let us do that. Identify certain areas. Let us write
A proposal.
work on the write a proposal. We don't need huge amount of money, but whatever little money required for travel and other logistics, can do that and set a
long-term monitoring program.
Yeah, set a timeline for these things and start long-term monitoring.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
To monitor insects, especially in light of these global warming and changes that are happening, because they are the best indicators.
Indicators, they are very good indicators. Exactly.
We talk about tiger, elephants, and all these things. They are not indicator species, okay? Whereas plants, insects, there are many things that are excellent indicators. So if we think in terms of that and work on a proposal, I'm sure we'll raise some money.
Because I already have 5 years of survey of moths over here, so I'm sure we can continue. Over to you, Sudhakar.
Observations in Kanyakumari district.
I think I can't hear you. We have lost you, I think. Audio.
Dr. Bivash, I think you got cut off.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, Dr. Bivash, I think you got cut off again.
Can you hear?
Now.
You got cut off.
Can you hear me now?
Okay,
I can hear you now.
All right. So thank you so much.
So that's what I was telling. Let's work on it.
Yeah. Over to Sudhakar. Probably someone else might want to ask you something.
Is there anybody else who would like to pose a question to Dr. Bivash now, or can Dr. Bivash continue to?
I can start talk.
Yeah, I think you
continue. I just didn't want. I just don't want it to be a monologue. So please interrupt me in between. Otherwise, I will go on telling you stories.
No, but they're very interesting stories, Dr. Bivash. It's very quite interesting what you had to share with us.
Yeah, but the stories will become even more interesting when I show you some pictures and narrate you things in person. Okay.
Dr. Bivash, this is Devika here. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
There is a lot of study on the eastern coast on the turtle nesting grounds. Are there any sightings along the western coast which is recorded? And are there studies continuing there?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you properly. Your voice was breaking. Can you please repeat it again?
The question is, you've done extensive studies on turtle nesting. A lot of studies is always focused on the eastern coast. Is there any specific niche in the western coast which is being studied by BNHS?
West Coast.
West Coast, yeah.
Okay, West Coast. There are some interesting turtle nesting beaches in Karnataka. Kerala, of course, most of the coastline is highly modified or armored. We don't have great nesting beaches in Kerala, but when I was posted in Kanyakumari, that was say 2003, 2004. There was 2003, to be precise. There were a lot of people who were catching sea turtles, actually, slaughtering them. I remember this place very close to Trivandrum Fish Landing Center. I think it's Vidinjam.
Vidinjam. It's called Vidinjam.
Vidinjam. Yeah.
That's close to Kanyakumari, Kerala border.
Kerala. Yes. And they were selling it in a market called Kattakada, something around 25-30 kilometers. I went and visited all those places, saw a lot of turtle carapaces lying there. I don't know whether the next, some loggerhead juveniles have been captured from Maharashtra coast.
I see.
There are also turtle nesting sites in the Kanyakumari beach, the Arabian side of it. There is some conservation going on over there. The forest department releases along with the NGOs.
I couldn't hear you. Yeah, couldn't hear
Yeah,
you. Hear you
your
again.
yeah,
But,
your bandwidth is low, Dr. Bivash.
Okay. Okay.
What I
So
was saying that there at the Kanyakumari Arabian side, seaside, we have had some turtle nesting, and the forest department actually has been helping in conserving and releasing them, etc. It happens. Okay, that's the western coast.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Arabian seaside.
East Coast. Yeah, the turtle population on East Coast or turtle studies in East Coast have been highlighted more simply because of the fact that there are a lot more turtles come and nest along East Coast. West Coast, it's not that people are not working. There are organizations involved in turtle monitoring, research. Forest Department is also working. Gujarat, we have a few organizations looking into marine turtle nests. Karnataka, there is low scale monitoring. Maharashtra, the Mangrove Foundation here in Bombay, they are supporting people for monitoring. Goa, of course, there are civil societies who are active on sea turtle conservation front. Kerala, as I told, there is very little turtle nesting takes place simply because available for them to nest.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Bivash, I think you can tell us what
Yeah.
you were planning to say about BNHS.
Okay.
Can't hear you.
Focus of BNHS and more of BNHS.
Dr.
So
Bivash,
my major
Dr.
objective.
Bivash,
Yeah,
before you
yes.
start, one moment. I have to leave, so I don't want to leave without saying thank you
Okay.
to you. I'm leaving just now. Thank you very much. Maybe we'll be in touch.
So we'll
Thank
meet soon.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the major emphasis of focus is on membership. So the objective is to increase the membership base of BNHS. Doing that, what my focus is to touch base with the existing members. And unless your members, existing members are comfortable with the organization and they have ownership of the organization, it will be very difficult to embark on a membership drive and enroll more and more new members into the organization. So keeping that in mind, I am working on few things that how BNHS members can be increasingly engaged in BNHS activities other than simply getting on-bill periodically, or some of the members subscribe to the General Bombay Naturalistic Society. Other than getting that, or a birthday wish or something, or marriage anniversary wishes, how to involve members in the activities of BNHS and how members can become eyes and ears of BNHS. So what we have identified, BNHS is working all over the country. We have roughly around 25-30 research programs that are going on. And in this research program, in a limited way, not like 15-20 members coming and helping, in limited way, in the sense 2 or 3 interested members who can come and volunteer. So I have identified all such potential projects where members can come conservation programs that BNHS is operating. So primarily we are working on species conservation, a wide range of species starting from Great Indian Western Bengal to Western Tragon in the Sikkim Himalayas, Satin Tragon in the Sikkim Himalayas, to Hill Myna in fins by a critically endangered, or in Point Caliban, or even in Mumbai, we have a big program on the flamingos in Mumbai. So like that, we have identified this 25 field sites where members can come and help us with our field conservation programs. And the other thing is, members should become more interactive, or BNHS should more regularly stay in touch with its members so that the local conservation issues are aptly highlighted. Members close to Coimbatore, we have BNHS as members. Or somewhere some mining is being planned, or the habitats of some of the critically endangered birds or animals are getting disturbed. So this is where something I look forward to much more interaction with BNHS members, existing members, before embarking on a membership drive. And the other program that we are thinking, we are planning for an annual members meet, where we identify a site, say for example, Rajaji National Park, where I years or 20 years, I've got a good understanding of the area, or we identify another protected area in Chhattisgarh where BNHS has got some program. So we facilitate all the logistics and everything. Members come there. Us about the overall program of BNHS, the members program of BNHS. We discuss about conservation, spend a couple of days in the forest and come back. What is my idea of organizing one annual members meet? I learned that this was happening many years back, maybe a decade back or so. This was happening. This has stopped. I would like to revive it. And for members based in Bombay or around Bombay, they should come to BNHS regularly. Especially last 2 years and ever since I have joined because of COVID, its movement is highly restricted. People are not coming to this society. So I have a belief that out of sight is out of mind. So we should not, members should not forget. So their, what you say, interaction with BNHS or physical interaction with BNHS should continue. So we are planning for a members corner there, have a cup of coffee, discuss things, or on a Friday we can start discussing things. It's primarily, my idea is to getting back to the old days and start more interaction. Thankfully, we have this online things now, Zoom sessions and all. So what I am doing is directly writing mails to members, apprising them of the activities of BNHS. Small things like a bird tagged in Mumbai has been recovered in Chennai, or has been recovered in China, or has been recovered in Russia. Informing it to members, getting in touch with members, that belongingness of that they belong to an important organization like BNHS, that should come first, and then members, existing members, should help us in getting more members. This is what I'm thinking right now to go ahead and do. Funding is not the picture as far as funding is concerned is not very rosy. BNHS has an employee of roughly close to 250, and maintaining such organization, I need regular cash flow. So working on proposals, that to good proposals, and generating money for those programs is one of the top priorities, and a lot of my time goes on thinking about that, working on good proposals, building relations with the state forest departments or with other agencies involved in conservation is also another major agenda of mine in next. So these are the few things that are immediate point of action, and collaborating with other organizations. So this is where MNHS comes into picture. We'll be very happy. BNHS is absolutely open to collaboration. However small or big the organization is, doesn't matter. BNHS is very open to collaboration. We should derive from each other's strength, and BNHS has its own core strength. MNHS has its own core strength of being present in that area, having a very intimate understanding of conservation issues of southern part of our country, and BNHS going and doing value addition to your program is more than welcome. So these are the few things that are there in my mind. And I look forward to an active collaboration with like-minded organizations. And the other thing that I want to make it very clear, BNHS has never been an activist organization or has not promoted activism. It's purely a science-based organization that practices conservation based on science. And I would like to continue it like that.
Thank you very much for that very interesting talk, Dr. Bivash Pandav, and your take on BNHS and the way forward for collaboration and association with the Madras Natural Society is a very heartening one. I think we should take this forward. We share a lot of ideals, and as you mentioned last, I always used to say about MNS also, we are not an activist organization, but we are an active organization. So we should continue to remain active.
Yes.
So, thank you very much. And all your proposals are wonderful. And I am looking forward to taking this forward. Anyway, we will be in touch. Thank you very much, Dr. Bivash.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And are there any questions, any more questions that you would like to ask Dr. Bivash before we end this meeting?
Yes, this is Kalpana from. Sir, I have a question relating to, how much can you encourage youngsters to join your organization? Because the fee for for the annual membership itself is quite high, and students are not able to afford it. So can it be made more student friendly so that they can have access to some of your interesting scientific material and can also participate? And is there a separate, do you have separate places, like for example in Chennai, do you have something which the students can join and, any branch, I don't know what to say, chapter of BNHS in Chennai, which they can...
Yeah, we don't have, I understand the fees, it's around 1,700 rupees for annual membership.
Yeah, so they are not, that's what, they're not able to,
take
the advantage of what all you have to offer.
I just would like to add here, Dr. Bivash, in fact, the MNS also, purely to encourage students to become our members and continue to associate themselves with all our activities. Our annual membership fee for a student is 200 rupees.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would propose this. We need to relook at it. I would propose to my governing council to have a discussion on that and see whether we can. Definitely, we can reduce the fees and have more members rather than increasing the fees, having less members.
No, you could keep your annual membership fee as it is. You could have a new category called student membership.
Okay. So we can do that. We can certainly do that. And the other thing, we don't have a chapter in Chennai, but we have programs going on, field programs going on, several research programs going on in Kanyakumari. In Point Caliber, we have a field research center, field station.
Yeah.
We have programs in going on close to Coimbatore. Our scientists are based there. So what we can do is we can have a collaborative program with MNS, BNHS, regular program once in a month or once in 2 months or something. We can devise that where BNHS scientists go interact with the members of MNHS and with people, and we conduct program there in Chennai.
That's
that can certainly be
done. That would be wonderful.
That'll be great. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
That can be done because our scientists, I mean, some of the top scientists are there based in Tamil Nadu. Dr. Balachandran, one of the best person as far as bird ringing is concerned. There is nobody at the moment. There is nobody better than Dr. Bala. So just to interact with Dr. Bala and learning the nuances of bird ringing itself will be a great experience.
Correct. In fact, we did, a group of us went to the bird ringing center last year, and no, the 2019 spent time. And Bala is a very close friend of MNS.
Yeah, and the other thing that I also need help of MNS in generating support for BNHS. See, our Point Calumet Center, because of this funding constraint, I want everything to be self-sustaining. We do not spend much money in maintaining that Point Calumet Center, hardly 5.5 lakh or 6 lakh rupees in a year. So what I was requesting Dr. Bala to have some courses on bird ringing, capture and ringing of birds, bird migration, where we can enroll students in a very, very nominal fee. Students can come spend 7 days there and pay the fees so that the center also becomes self-sustaining. So this is the model that I am working on. I have to discuss this with Dr. Bala, and we can spread this amongst these colleges in Chennai or in urban areas of Tamil Nadu, where students can go and have this experience for about 7 days, or have a bird ringing camp there, where they pay a nominal fee to BNHS, and we also manage to run our center through that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Can you also answer the second one part of Dr. Kalpana's question as to how students of biology students across the country can access the research papers and other interesting material which is there in your library? Is it possible to do it online, because now physically people will not be able to come, and what kind of, is there something that you can build, and infrastructure can be constructed so that people can directly access that? Yeah.
Okay, so what we are doing is we are digitizing all our collections in the museum right now.
Excellent.
So we have 130,000 specimens in our library. Digitization process is going on. It will take us another 2 more years to complete the entire digitization process and put it on a digital platform. So anywhere in the world, you should be able to click and visit any specific specimen that you are interested in. My idea is to people should be able to get a virtual tour, of course, with proper password and everything. Should be able to get a virtual tour of the BNHS museum or BNHS collection center. We are doing that. I have not looked into the library, but library, lot of things should be digitized, and whatever digital resources are available in the library, we'll certainly make it available for the students. There should be no fees for that. Free dissemination of knowledge will take place.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. Yes, a lot of digitized material is already available on the BNHS archives.
Okay.
And so much so that I was very happy to read A.O. Hume's book on, the old narration, and very exciting to read that. But the latest is what is the students need to access because they do small projects. And then it would be good if they have the latest information.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we can do that. That should not be a problem. I'll take measures that students gain access to the latest information. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me. This is Dr. Badri. I was just wondering, just like BNHS is the local chapter taking care of the international BirdLife international activities. Why can't BNHS itself establish license with BirdLife organizations or nature organizations in each state, for that matter, and have some sort of a local chapter in each country, each state, capital at least?
It was actually there, this Indian Bird Conservation Network, as part of that important bird area program. Lot of organizations came under the umbrella of that IBCN. But unfortunately, that program has been discontinued. It has to be reinitiated. And I believe unity, the strength is in unity. All of us should stand united for the conservation, and we should interact more frequently. Right. Absolutely, no doubt about that.
And another thing, Dr. Bivash, I think a lot of effort is going into identifying and finally declaring a place as an IBBA. But this declaration is not it's not legal. It's just a label. So if a place has been declared as an IBBA, if that gets very good legal status, then I think conservation itself will get a great fillip, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe BNHS can also think in terms of trying to see how an IBBA, after so much of research and so much of time that is spent in finally identifying a place as an IBBA, you just give it a label and then after that nothing happens. You know, if people want to come and do something and degrade the place also, we cannot even act. You know, people cannot.
Agreed.
For
Agreed.
instance,
Agreed.
for instance, the NGT cannot say, okay, it's an IBBA given by IBC and BNHS, so what? You know, so unless it's legal, and a body like NGT also will
Agreed.
not be able to do anything. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need to give a representation to Government of India, saying that what are the ecological roles these IBBAs are playing. Okay. And Protection Act. Give them a legal status. Unless we give them a legal status, whatever you told, it will be very difficult. So yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing need to be seriously thought of. Yes.
Dr. Bivash Kumaran here. Yes.
Yeah, please.
Putting together a couple of the questions that were raised now about membership, I suggest that we have chapters for educational institutions, particularly colleges and schools, where the fees could be, the structure of the fees could be worked out. It could be beneficial to students so that it invites all of them. At the same time, it gives them some of the inputs that are required from the BNHS and the MNS. It could be a collaborative club, so to say, or a chapter, depending on the location.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, true.
Actually, BNHS can bring together all the students of, let's say, city of Bombay, for instance. Okay, if you invite all the zoology, biology, botany students to come together under one umbrella and say, okay, now you become part of BNHS and you are the chapter for BNHS, and these are the inputs that can happen. Like you wanted, members to get more engaged. I'm sure BNHS has got a lot of members who can interact with these students directly. I mean, Dr. Bivash doesn't have to be there all the time, what I'm saying. So
true,
a whole lot of, your entire membership. So that way you reactivate your members to interact with the younger generation, and, after all, they are the future. At the same time, you are creating this huge body of students who can contribute tomorrow to BNHS, to your growth, to the country's conservation and everything. I think building upon what Kumaran was just suggesting would be a great thing to do. I mean, somebody like you, what I'm saying is, Dr. Bivash, I have interacted very little with you. The first time I interacted with you, I got a feeling in my gut saying that this man means business. Okay, and I think you mean business. And I think it's BNHS under your directorship can go, very, very long.
I just want to again add here. CEC, BNHS is doing great work, but once again, the fees for their programs are quite high. So this is again something which puts off a lot of people, and they're desperate to join the courses and they're not able to. So maybe a special consideration for students can be made. Sorry, I keep talking about that, but as a teacher, I find that, I would like them to get all kinds of inputs, possible. So just another request here, if CEC can reduce the fee for their special programs.
Yeah. We will surely do it for students. Absolutely. No doubt about it. So we'll do that. We'll do that.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Great. Superb. So if there are no more questions to Dr. Bivash, I mean, he spent quite a lot of time with us, and I'm very, very happy, Dr. Bivash, that you were able to spend this time with us. I think it matters a lot, and we will definitely take forward your idea of this interaction on a monthly basis, of MNS being an arm of BNHS on this side, and we'll see how we can slowly start working. Once the climate is good, then we may even be able to do small field work and support each other's work which is there. I'm sure we can take this forward, Dr. Bivash. We will definitely do something about it.
Sure. And it was nice. It was nice interacting with all of you today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bivash.
Yeah.
Yeah. And grateful thanks to all members who are present here and interacting with Dr. Bivash. Thank you all very much. See you again the next time we meet. Bye-bye. Have a great day and take good care of yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.